Hello everybody and welcome to Project Trade. This is the Trading Highlights Show. All of the moments that matter from our testing of trading strategies. Today we're on a little known technical trading strategy called the MACD double act, aka the MACD duo dual strategy, aka the profit leveler. You get the picture. And the entry signals of the strategy are solidly based around one indicator. Can you guess which one? It's the moving average convergence divergence indicator. The MACD D. That's right, it's that two-line oscillating histogram which most traders with any sort of technical focus I would say are familiar with. That's what it looks like with all of its typical components and default inputs. The blue line we can see, that is called the MACD line, and it is calculated by taking a 12-period moving average and subtracting from it a 26-period moving average. Then the yellow line is known as the signal line, and it's a 9-period moving average of the MACD line. The histogram is then merely the difference between the two lines plotted with that zero-level crossover. That's the basics. If you're not familiar with the MACD, then that explanation probably sounds very rapid, and if you are familiar with the MACD, it probably sounded like it went on forever. But for both you types of people alike and everybody in between, we have done a more detailed video on the MACD, which will be linked in the video description. For now though, let's talk about entry criteria for our strategy. The first part of the double act is our standard MACD histogram with the default inputs. That's going to be our filter on the markets. So if the histogram value is closed above zero, then it'll be just buy trades for us, and if it's closed below zero, then only sell trades for we. Fairly simple. Then the second part of the double act for our main entry indicator will be honing in on just the MACD line. That's the faster of the two lines in the oscillator, and we're going to make it twice as fast as it is on its default settings. That means it will be a 13-period moving average being subtracted from a 6-period moving average. When it crosses above the zero line and closes, we'll enter a buy trade and then swap that for a sell signal. We'll get in when it crosses below the zero line and closes there. And that's why they all call me the multiple MACD magic magician man. Well, they will. Either way, we can't just enter the trade and leave it there. We will have to do some money management. And with that comes the use of a handy money management indicator, the average true range. That's the ATR. It's a single line oscillator measuring price volatility. Essentially, it's trying to measure the average high to low price range of the candles in the look back frame. For us, that will be the default 14 periods. The indicator will give us the average true range value as circled in the top right hand corner. Once we have that ATR reading, we can then think about how we're going to use it. Something we're going to do right off the bat is split out one trade into two trades. That way we can use different risk management for different parts of the trade. Subtrade A will have a stop loss at 3 times the ATR value from our entry price, and that's with a take profit level at 2 times the ATR value from our entry price. We're doing that slight difference there to effectively try and beat out the spread. Then subtrade B will have a stop loss at once again 3 times the ATR value from our entry price, but there will not be a take profit. Instead, it will be a trailing stop loss, which will take effect if we get 2 times ATR value into profit. It won't start trailing before then, so unless it gets to that stage, it will just be that standard stop loss in place at 3 times the ATR. Each of those sub trades will bear a risk value of 0.5% of our money, meaning that each trade in total will risk a maximum 1% of our capital. That should mean that we don't lose too much, even if the trades do end up going really badly. Another trick we'll use is that we will also close down the trade if our MACD histogram switches its signal against us. That's the longer term filter. If that moves against us, we will shut it down. But we won't switch it off if we just lose the signal from the MACD line, as that signal might flip back and forth too often when we're in a range. We don't want to be dipping in and out over and over again. So once we're in, we will see the trade through. Those indicators, though, they are going to be used on 2 different time frames. The MACD histogram we're using for filtering will be on a longer time frame. That will be the 1 hour chart. We want a more reliable look back from it. And that means we can get on a quicker time frame with the MACD line entry signal, so that will be on the 5-minute chart. Hopefully we get a few signals from that. So we're only going to trade on one currency pair, and that's going to be the Euro Swiss franc. They often move together in the markets, but how do they move against one another? We're going to find out exactly how. We'll be journaling our trades too, so that we can look back and understand where we went right and where we went wrong. Find out whether or not we need to chuck a couple of extra MACDs into the mix to make it work. The journal will help us see, gives us the vision. Well, there we go. Let's get into the platform and make some trades. Okay, here we are in the charts then, just before 11 o'clock, 10:56 and 10 seconds to be precise. We've got our 2 Euro Swiss franc charts pulled up. On the left is our hourly chart with our traditional MACD default input settings, 12 and 26 periods, and we can see currently well above the zero line, which means it is buy trades only for us. has been coming down a bit in the last hour or so, and we can see all that play out in greater detail over here on the right in the 5-minute chart. Indicators over here, the MACD line, that's the blue line there. We can see the silver 0 level across the middle, and the period inputs twice as fast, 6 and 13 for the MACD line. And so as we're taking buy trades from the hourly chart, we're looking for the MACD to move above the 0 line and close there. And it does look like we saw one recently. In fact, let's check out both these trades, see how they would have gone. That would have been a buy entry right there at the top of this candle. Did carry on for about another 8 or 9 pips at least though. ATR at that point was around about 2.5 pips. Yeah, I think for 2 times ATR to the take profit, even with the spread, I think you would have made it just about. So you like it would have taken profit on subtrade A right at the top and then had the trading stop loss trigger for not much profits, more nearer the entry price. And what about this one just a couple of seconds ago? Well, we haven't seen it play out yet. All we know at the moment is it looks like you'd be in that candle. Yeah, so right at this candle here about 10-15 minutes ago. So that wouldn't be a profit taker yet. ATR quite wide on that one. So you're looking about a 10 pip stop loss. Should be right towards the bottom here. Have to see how that one goes. But we'll be waiting for a cross and a recross, assuming this hourly chart stays above 0 here with the MACD. While we wait, let's check out the economic calendar, see what events we got. And there's plenty of them to be fair, so let's just hit the bigger ones. Great British Pound, quite a few numbers for them at 9 AM this morning. Unemployment rate at 4.3%, down from 4.5% previous, and beats the forecast of 4.4. So we're looking to keep bringing that down, but not too bad. Claimant count change reflects that as well, negative 14.9 actual against 40.2 forecast. So a decent beat for them there as well. Quarterly labour productivity came in at negative 1.2%. Didn't have a forecast for that, but I would say you want your labour to be more productive, so a higher number would have been better. 0.1% was the previous. They'll want to see those positive numbers resume in the following quarters. 9:45 CPI inflation data month on month from France in the Eurozone. 0.4% actual, 0.4% forecast, and 0.4% previous. Not the best, but not terrible. Certainly not as bad as some other places that we've seen. Still 0.4, a touch high. Then 11 o'clock, well, just a minute ago, we should get this CPI data month on month from Italy feed through. They've got a forecast of 0.6% against the previous of 0.6% as well. And we do get numbers from the Eurozone as a whole at 12 o'clock. Employment change quarterly and GDP quarterly. We'll watch out for those. 1:30 Brazilian Central Bank Focus Market Report. Yes, coming through today on a Tuesday. Usually comes through on a Monday, but we did have yesterday the proclamation of the Republic Day in Brazil. So we have had to wait an extra 24 hours for the report. As the day cracks on though, this is when we get to a more volatile, more volume time. We get the overlap of the European and American sessions, but we've also got US numbers coming through. 3:30 retail sales, core retail sales and retail control. All those month on month coming in. The retail sales month on month, that's forecast at negative 0.1%. Now you might want to see it start creeping up on the run up to Christmas. Be very surprising if it didn't. And in fact, on this one, I wouldn't be surprised to see a beat, maybe just a 0.2, 0.3% actual. We'll see. Even though we're not trading the US dollar, these are the sort of times that we need to watch out for. Could easily drag us in or out of a trade. And even though we're going to follow the technical system through, sometimes we like to know why we're getting dragged in or out of a trade, if there is an underlying macro reason for it. 4 o'clock will breeze past the global dairy trade price index from New Zealand. But then back on the US dollar at 4.15, we've got the Fed industrial production month on month. And then 5 o'clock, business and retail inventories, also month on month. Other than that, we do have a Christine Lagarde speech at 6:10. Even though she is the president of the European Central Bank, she doesn't really tend to have too much impact with her speeches. She makes a lot. And even when we are trading on the euro, I doubt she's going to be talking about anything controversial or dropping any major bombs. You never know though, if it does pop off at 6:10, we will look to the speech for answers, and then it fades off throughout the evening. So as per usual, our main times we'll be looking at between 3 o'clock and 5:30, that sort of range at least. That's when price has the highest chance of trending from that increase of volume and volatility, buyers or sellers, one or the other, stepping more into the market. But for now, we are just waiting for that signal. It looks like your trade would have cracked on if you got into it here. Again, because that high ATR, your take profit from here would be quite far up, past where we can see, I would say, around about 7 pips, so about 70 points up, or only getting to 63.64. Well, that's fine though. Maybe the euro does want to make a move. We'll wait and see what happens. Here comes the push, and you probably would have taken profit on your trade from back here now. Certainly wouldn't have stopped a loss. You take profit around about there, your trailing stop loss will be going. Not a bad trade if you're in it. It's two we've seen this morning on backtests that look like they would have made it to the profit level. Good signs for the strategy. Almost at 20 past 12, and this trend is continuing here. Rue the day that we missed this move. Came on 10 minutes too late for it. Again, that would be your entry. Right now, about 13, 14 pips to the good. You'd had sub-trade A take profit, that's for sure. And there has not been a retracement that would have knocked out your trailing stop loss. You'd be looking at 2 times ATR for that, so about 6.8, 68 points. That one only gets to 57. I mean, maybe with the spread, you might, but I think you'd still be going. Hopefully you're trading this system and you are in on it. Wouldn't that be a treat? Let's catch up on some of those economic numbers. The Italian month-on-month CPI that came in at 11 o'clock, 0.7%, a bit higher than the 0.6%. 0.6 was already looking a little high, 0.7, slightly worse. You don't want to see numbers at that level. How's the Eurozone as a whole looking though? Quarterly employment change, 0.9% increase. Pretty good. Honestly, a good beat from the flat forecast at 0.0. And the GDP quarterly coming in as expected at 2.2%. Seeing a bit of growth. That's the same as the previous as well. Not the worst numbers. And there's nothing really major for us now until 3:30. Those US dollar retail sales numbers. That'll be the big one in a few hours' time. Just after 5 to 1. And this price run has really continued here for the euro. Can see it better on the hourly chart. What a push this is. Gotta say, even if we were in this trade from back here, we only would have got to this area for our trailing stop loss. That retracement there, that would have been enough to get us. But still, if you stuck it out and you're still in this euro trade here against the Swiss franc, looking very nice for you. Does mean for us though that we will have to wait that much longer to get into a trade, because we are going to have to wait for the MACD line to come below 0 and then recross. That's still got to happen to get below the 0 line first. And I don't think that the hourly chart of the MACD is going to go beneath 0 anytime soon. Now look at that momentum pushing up. About an hour on now, we saw price peak off by the looks of about 5 periods ago. Finally now it's coming down a bit steeper. We want to see that continue. We don't want to see it revert to green and stay in a range up here. Keep pushing on, get that MACD line below 0. There we go. We do get the close on the MACD line below 0. 10 past 2 is the time, and negative 0.000062 is the figure at the close of the candle. Now we can keep an eye out for the reversal. Might just take a few periods. Price really going through a drop off from those highs now. Look at how that's carried on. This latest candle pushing down the pressure. 5 to 3, and the drop thickens. Look at these red candles. This went from one uptrend straight into a downtrend. Bizarre day, no ranging at all. Look at it over on the hourly chart, the size of that red candle. Hopefully it just means a better entry position for us when it does recross above 0. Just after 25 past 3, and we've now seen the first green candle in a long time. Look at that field of blood. We had a very small candle there, and another one back there. But this has continued as a long downtrend. The relentless Swiss franc been putting in a shift. Again, look to the hour chart, we can see the pullback. And that means that the MACD line is on the rise again. If we get a couple more candles like this, we could finally be able to get into a buy trade, as we're just a few minutes away from those US dollar retail sales numbers coming in at 3:30. Or the first candle at the release of the numbers at 3:30. You can see the big spike in volume, and it has thrown a spanner into the works. The two before that looked like we were going to get pretty quickly above the 0 line. Now a sharp red candle has come. Does look a bit less likely again. But what numbers came through? Month on month, 1.7% actual against negative 0.1% forecast. Did think that there was going to be a beat on the forecast, but 1.7, that is a big beat. And it's what the core retail sales come in at as well, against a forecast of 1.7, interestingly. And retail control, negative 1.4 forecast. Those forecasts are all about the place, by the way. 3 completely different forecasts over what should be somewhat similar numbers. Anyway, that was 1.3% against the negative 1.4% actual. So pretty good numbers on the whole. Next up, Fed industrial production month on month, 4:15. Here we go. It's the return of the euro though, and as we roll into the next period right now, we are going to see that MACD line just cross over 0 there. And so if it closes that way, if we see another green candle here, or even a little red one by the looks of it, the close will occur. Might not, could see enough of a pullback that we have to wait a couple periods. But now it does seem a lot more likely this entry signal comes. There's the pullback though. It's a close one. It's going to be close. Doesn't look like it's going to come this candle though. It is just shy. No, it doesn't come. We miss out, but it's still poking over now. So as long as another red candle doesn't come, a big red will put it off. But even a small red would see us through on this signal once and for all. We are going to miss it again though. It is going to stay flat on the MACD line, still below 0. Stay patient. Well, the MACD line the last few periods was really hugging that 0 line. Now it's looking like a very good thing that it didn't cross over there, because price in the last period has plummeted down. It's hit new lows, and we certainly don't look any close to a signal now. Hopefully it just means a better entry price for us when we do get in. Here we go, return of the MACD. We are going to see the line cross over the 0, poke its head through once again, very narrowly through. Doesn't look like it'll make it this candle. We have had 4 straight green ones. We'd need another one to see it in, that's for sure. Those Fed industrial production numbers that came in, month on month, 1.6% actual against 0.3% forecast. Good figure there. And it puts the year on year at 5.1% actual against 5.3% forecast. Bit of a miss on the latter, but not really by much. 30 minutes, we got those inventories, business and retail. Well, it looks like we are finally getting the signal, which means we can look to the ATR, 4.1 pips currently. It's a high volume time of the day, hence why we've got this increased ATR reading. 3 times that value of the ATR to our stop loss will be 12.3 pips. You can see how our risk is calculated on the screen. It's going to be 0.21 standard loss as we do get the confirmation, and so we can enter 2 buy trades just like that. And so it was 3 times ATR to the stop loss, that's 123 points, and just 2 times ATR to the take profit, that's for subtrade A, so that'd be 82 points. You can see both those levels on the screen now. And for subtrade B, it's the same stop loss, 123 points, but it's got that trailing stop loss this time instead of the take profit, and so we're just going to set that at 82 points, 2 times ATR, so that'll kick in if we're able to take profit. And it does mean we've got a bit of room with the trade. It can come down without any serious danger, and it would have to get to a new low for it to actually trigger the stop loss. It's right at the bottom of support level. Bounced off there around about 10:30 this morning, and then again just about 30 minutes or so ago. And our take profit isn't above the high of the day, so we're not asking for new highs. It's quite a bit of the way off there actually, so it's possible. We don't feel too bad being in this trade. We've waited a good portion of the day, and we're entering in at that high volume, high volatility time. So I think we could see a retracement, but hopefully not enough to get our stop loss kicked out before the trend continues and we eventually get a take profit. Almost 30 minutes into this trade and not really much movement on price. Been very rangy since we entered, just a couple of bucks down on each trade. Not too worried, although don't want to see it break down obviously. On the economic calendar, the global dairy trade price index did come in at 4:41 p.m. 1.9% actual against 0.4% forecast. Those dairy trade prices on the up and up. And then the big 5 o'clock US numbers, business inventories month on month, 0.7% actual against 0.6% forecast. Not too much of a difference maker there. And then likewise on retail inventories month on month, stays at negative 0.2% to match the forecast. And we've just seen the MACD line close beneath 0. We're not letting that signal invalidate our trade though. We don't have to close it based off that information. Be interesting to see how that turns out. Will the price makes a beeline for the stop loss, and eventually we're worse off for not closing out the trade, or whether it bounces to the green side and we would end up effectively being back in another buy trade up at the top. See what I mean? That MACD line is about to close above 0. That means if you used it as an exit signal for the crossover there, you'd just been right back in a buy trade here at a worse price. On to 20 to 7 now, about an hour on since the last update, and price are very much ranging for us in the profit zone, which is what we want to see, but really nothing much to report other than that the trade is still going and we're about $5 or $6 up on each of those sub trades. 7:45 now, and again not much in the last hour, price still ranging. In the grand scheme of things, we have seen higher lows occurring, potential for a breakout in our favor, but a lot of the volume that was there in the market around about the time we entered and just before has since faded away. Haven't seen the MACD line cross over 0 in a good while either, but it has been right next to it for a good while. Just after 8 o'clock, and this is incredibly close to our take profit level. Just needs a few more pipettes to get there. We see the trading stop losses kicked in, so that should have been at the exact same time as the take profit kicked. These are 1 pipette off, so that might be making the difference there. But that is a good start to have the trading stop loss. We just want that to roll over a couple more pipettes. There we go. That's the take profit. We are in the money for the trade, in the money for the day. We waited for our moment, but we did take it. And now 3 hours, 20 minutes later, take profit on sub trade 8, but we've still got sub trade B going. The worst that can happen with that is our stop loss triggers where it is now. And that looks like it would be for a couple cents worth of profit. Pretty nice. Hopefully we can get more out of it. Again, it's got a wide range, 2 times ATR, or 2 times the big ATR from back when as well. So it does have that margin for retracement. Crack on. Here's a big red candle coming though, right on the cusp of 9 o'clock. It is gearing to knock out our trading stop loss here, which hasn't moved since we got in. And it does go there. What a sharp candle. Came out of nowhere. It looked like we were doing okay. This candle had come close and we felt like we dodged a bullet when it got away like that. But the drop is in and our trade is over. Only managed a 23 cent from that one, but certainly better than a loss. And we were pretty lucky, we feel, to get out right at the tippy top there. Couldn't get much higher, but nevertheless, we are going to call that the end of the day. $18.73 for profit in the end. We don't mind that, and we will be back tomorrow to trade it again. Back for day 2 of our MACD double act. And right now, it looks like it could be a very early morning signal for us. Coming up to 25 past 10, and we have got the MACD on the hourly chart. That is below the 0 level, sell trades only. By the way, very strange hour back there, and we can also see that we really did get out of the peak with our take profit on our trade last night. It was all downhill from there. Hasn't been to that price since. But yeah, MACD on the hourly chart giving the sell trades, and then if we look across at the 5-minute chart, price been pretty whipsawy up and down, especially the last few minutes. And now it does look as though we could get the MACD line crossing below 0, getting us into a sell trade. Let's take it to the economic calendar. Can just about fit all the events on here, quite a lot of them again. So let's hit the interesting ones only. 230 Australian dollar wage price index quarterly, 0.6% increase against forecast of 0.4. Good to see wages are at least going up somewhat with the prices. Inflation numbers from the Great British Pound. PPI and CPI. Let's have a look at the PPI first. Input month on month 1.4% against 0.0% forecast, and the output 1.1% actual against 0.4% forecast. Looking pretty high on the PPI. What about the CPI? Any better there? Certainly isn't. Month on month 1.1% against 0.0% forecast. If the forecasters really did think it was going to be flat, that's very optimistic. Even the core CPI at 0.7% against 0.2% forecast. Well, the Bank of England did recently have the option to increase interest rates, chose not to, so this can be one of the side effects of that. 10 o'clock, about half an hour ago though, we had South Africa. They managed to hold the line. CPI month on month and the core CPI month on month are both at 0.2%, pretty much as forecast. Not too bad there. And we've got more CPI numbers coming throughout the day. 12 o'clock on the Eurozone, we've got the month on month forecast at 0.8%, pretty high for half a continent. Nothing going on then in the early afternoon, but 3:30 our busy time. CPI and core CPI from Canada, as well as US dollar numbers, housing starts and building permits. We'll see how much construction is starting up or planning to start up. And then everything else for the rest of the day is speeches, as well as the Wednesday oil stocks change, of course. From these speeches, not expecting any major impact on the charts, even with a few from the ECB. And interestingly, 3:20 a.m. this morning, we had ECB President Christine Lagarde making a speech. And then again, 8:30 tonight. She does like a speech, but rarely do they impact our charts. But we will keep an eye on these numbers as they come in throughout the day anyway. Price hovering now the last couple periods. MACD line still facing down, less of a slope on it though now. Let's see if it makes the move. It is very close as to whether we get this signal or not. You can see the MACD currently minus 0.000002. It's gone positive again, so right now not getting that signal. If we do get it, we are going with 4 pips. That's 12 pips to the stop loss. And it is so close. We are going to have to wait full on for the close to see whether we get the signal or not. About to roll over that second, and wow, we do get it very narrowly. So here we go. You can see our risk calculated on screen now. And let's get into 2 sell trades. Well, we had to wait about all day yesterday to get into a trade. And it was about this time in the morning that we would have got the trade, but we came on about 10 minutes later and missed it. So this time we have got that trade. Early bird gets the worm. Let's set our stop loss and take profit for those trades. 120 and 80 for sub-trade 8. And we can see the morning volatility with the ATR getting up on the rise here, which reflects in our stop loss and take profit. Take profit level we can see down there. This is what we like though. You can barely see the stop loss. Look at how far away that is. We got a good room to move on this one, and we can set the stop loss and take profit on sub-trade B. 120 points again to our trade and stop loss at 80 points. In fact, we can see our stop loss is right up towards where we got knocked out yesterday. Hopefully we get a wild candle like this one right here, that mad candle. And hopefully it sustains enough to be able to actually trigger the take profit. That'll be a good win for us. As price comes back up that period, look at how narrow that MACD line cross was. It was only that one period that it looks like it's going to be actually ever so slightly below the MACD line. And we'll see how that goes, whether if we'd taken it as an exit signal that it immediately reversed against us, whether it would have been better to close off the trade right away and take those small losses. We'll find that out as time goes by. 11 a.m. just a short ways into our trade, and we can see a few seconds ago the MACD on the hourly chart did cross over the zero line above it. Now that doesn't mean that we've lost our signal just yet, but it does mean that if this MACD closes like that at 12 o'clock and we haven't already knocked out our stop loss over here, then we will have to close the trade down and accept that it will just be buy trades for us. Not going so well at the moment, the trade, $21 down in each sub trade, so about 2/3 of the way to the stop loss. It does look like it's going to break that way as well. Very close to the high of the day, which is over here. Hopefully it rejects that price and bounces back down. But it slows not, and there goes the stop loss. That didn't take long. 11:02 is the time. We got into that trade at 10:45, so compared to yesterday, we were in the trade. Full trade yesterday was over 4 hours. We really had to grind it out for the profit. But this morning, as soon as we get in, full on reversal, pretty tame signal, and in this instance, it would have been better to immediately close out the trade there. That would have been about 1/3 of a full stop loss. But the damage is done as we go down $56.68, only made $18.73 yesterday. So now we are going to need a winning trade to get us back into it. I'm just going to put the ask price line on. Yeah, you can see why we want to beat the spread by having that wider stop loss than take profit. Sometimes when the spreads are that egregious, you do need to have a bit of a close take profit to make sure you don't just get whacked out straight away. But irregardless, our trade is gone. So now we'll wait for another entry, and if price carries on this way, it could be a while again. And as the clock strikes 12, we do get the close on the hourly chart. That means it's now buy trades only for us. We've got to wait for the MACD line to cross below zero now and get back across there. Who knows when that'll be? Price currently still on the rise really. Has had a bit of a retracement. That could turn into a reversal, but we've seen retracements before that cracked on. In fact, we got in at the end of a retracement. And at the same time, we also see the CPI month-on-month numbers come through for the Eurozone. 0.8% actual against 0.8% previous. Well done on getting the forecast, but not ideal numbers. 0.8. If you had 0.8 every month, 9.8 for the year. It's commonplace around the world right now. Some have it worse than others. Next numbers are those Canadian CPI numbers at 3:30. So until then, we'll see if we get a signal. Price does look a bit more convincing at coming down, so maybe it does happen sooner than we think. Actually, it hasn't taken too long now as we see the MACD line close beneath zero. We'll now wait for the reversal and happily get into a buy trade when we see this MACD line get above zero again. Okay, interestingly, we are getting the go ahead with a buy signal. It's been such a fierce reversal once again. No ranging going on here. Straight down, straight back up. So the MACD line is going to cross, and this MACD on the hourly, it hasn't closed beneath zero. Technically, it is closed above zero, so we are going to get into this trade. And you can see our risk calculated on screen now. 7.1 pips to the stop loss after 2.7 was the reading on the ATR, so it is a bit tighter. So that take profits and stop losses set. What it means is that we do want to see a rise in the MACD, flip it above zero on the hourly chart so we can make sure we stay in this trade. It's got 25 minutes to do that. Maybe it can even get to the take profits since then. Top of the hour on the MACD, it does close above zero. That's what we wanted. We get to stay in the trade. A little bit of profit going for it at the moment, just about $2.50 each. Call it a 3 now. Price has been coming down, and we see the MACD line cross over zero, stays there. Our major MACD on the hour chart though, that's still above zero. We know we're not going to close down our buy trade for this, so we just want it to turn around. The last 5 or 6 periods we were looking good up at that high there, only a couple pips off, but it has been on the drop since then, and we're about halfway to the stop loss. Price coming down quick. Does look like it wants to knock the stop loss. This has all this red in the last minute or so. There it does push far enough to take out the stop loss. Both our sub trades gone again. It's that second trade of the day, second loss. Even with trying to keep it at 2 times ATR for the take profit, can't quite get there. We were looking good, got in the region, but then back down price came, and it's another losing trade on a pretty weak day today, and we can see how rangy it's been on the hourly chart. Hasn't really much move outside of a 0.1, 0.2% price range. You're going to get those days though. New York Forex session opens in just 1 minute's time, and we'll have those numbers in 31 minutes. Just something to note as well, right at the end of the last period at 3 o'clock, just after our trade closed, the MACD on the hourly chart did actually recross zero because of this plummeting price there. So now it's back beneath zero, and we're looking at sell trades. 25 to 4, price just been ranging, does look like it's ready for a drop now. We see it pressed down, the MACD line already below 0, so we can't get an entry off it. We've just got to watch what happens. But we did get those numbers in. CPI from Canada, 0.7% actual against 0.3% forecast, and core CPI 0.6 against 0.4. Not good, but obviously everyone's suffering from higher inflation at the moment. We also got the housing starts and building permits from the US. Slight misses for both of those. Housing starts was 1.52 million actual against 1.58 forecast, and building permits 1.65 million against 1.66 forecast. And it does put month-on-month housing starts down 2.3% actual, and building permits up 4%. Not too much outside of expectations that's going to damage the US dollar off the back of those numbers. Let's wait for our trade. 10 past 4, and we have just seen the histogram narrowly close above 0. 0.00030 is the figure. Came on a retracement candle. The MACD on the hourly chart is still below 0, which means sell trades are on the menu. If this finishes below 0, it will be an entry. And that signal is indeed going to come, so we're going to go with 2.9 pips for the ATR reading. That'll be 8.7 to the stop loss. You can see how our risk is calculated on the screen now. And so it's 2 sell trades at 0.30 standard loss. And now with our stop loss and take profit set, how do we feel? Yeah, it could be okay. It has been ranging for quite a while. Maybe now ready for a breakout to the south. Again though, good distance to the stop loss. That is right up at the resistance level. So we do give it some room to maneuver if it goes the wrong way. Volume should be in the market now for a potential move. We need a winning trade to get back in this. 2 losers today already. If we have a third, the strategy becomes very difficult to get back to profitability on. Starts running away from you at that point. Here comes our move. Price getting below the take profit. All we got to do is get the ask price line there. We've been in the trade just under an hour now. It's been mostly ranging, but has had the drops in there. And there we go. We take profit. Our trailing stop loss kicks into place, and we've got ourselves a winning trade. Let's hope this pattern can continue, because we really do need a good chunk out of the trading stop loss to get back into it. If it triggers where it is now, it's a bit of a weak trade. Better than a loser, obviously. But a lot of this strategy does hinge on being able to take profits from the trailing stop loss. The last couple of periods, prices continued its drop, and we are getting more and more out of the trading stop loss. It is almost to a point where we are guaranteed more money from subtrade B than we got from subtrade A. Sometimes when price rushes down too fast though, you do end up with a retracement, but for now let's hope we ride that wave longer. Just coming on to 6:30, and we are still able to get some new lows in price. The latest candle pushing down even more. It's been a nice trade. 2 hours and 15 minutes we've been in it so far. The pullback in price does get our stop loss in the end. How much did we get from it? 34.53, pretty good. Almost twice as much as our subtrade A, which was $19.03, and more than a single subtrade loss of $28.24. We still end the day $59.60 down, so it wasn't enough to get us back into profitability. But this final trade, it does give us hope. You can see on the 1 hour chart, it really was a day of 2 halves. When price ranges like this, we can't do anything about it. We are going to get into false moves. We had a short trade there that got knocked out, and then a long trade here, which went pretty badly for us. But when there is a trend and move, we take advantage of it. We did with this one, and we did yesterday as well. That trend, it didn't continue, and we were lucky with it, as we've said. But we don't need too much of a move to be able to get profit. Just try and avoid these ranges. Maybe we'll get a really strong trending day tomorrow. That's what we're after, and so we will be back then. 10 to 11, and we are back on the charts. Let's take a look at our hourly first. Comfortably above 0, it has been for 6 histogram bars now on the MACD, and this latest one looks like it's going to be one of the strongest. Hopefully that cements us in for looking at buy trades all day. This is what we said we wanted. We didn't want yesterday's price action where the MACD bounces up and down, zigzags, can't make its mind up. That puts us off on some of the trades and ends up meaning that some of our trades get caught out in the range. Here, looking much more likely that we've got a momentum run to the buy side. We'd need some big red candles for that to change. It doesn't look like that's happened so far. Quite the opposite, in fact. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. Would have had a trade here about 8:30 in the morning, and it does look like you would have got in before this run up here, and that's a narrow ATR at that point as well. We'd run a 1 pip minimum for it, so we'd be looking at 3 pips, 30 points for take profit, and I think we would get that just about, and if not, we would get it up here. So definitely take profit for that trade on subtrade A. Subtrade B would also get profit, but you might get knocked out here on the trading stop loss. Pull back from price, and it's only 2 times ATR, so I think you'd be a goner there. Nevertheless though, a profitable trade. And then another buy trade. What's the figure on this one? Looks like you would have had, ooh, that's not the best. You would have had A negative figure for this candle right here, very marginally negative, 0.000009, but that does mean that you would have had to wait for the end of this candle for confirmation of your buy trade. So you're in a buy trade up there with an ATR of around about 3 pips. Stop loss will be around about here. Take profit way up in the clouds. Definitely wouldn't have been taken by this high. So at the moment, we'd just be waiting for the resolution of this trade. We'll see how it goes. As we said, because we are on the lookout for buy trades, certainly at the moment and probably for a while, does mean you already know that we're going to have to wait for the cross and the recross of the MACD line. That could take a while, so we've got plenty of time to check out the economic calendar and see what events are on. Not a huge amount today, and nothing in the Asia session. Looks like we had the Reserve Bank of Australia Assistant Governor Ellis make a speech at 6 AM, and that's it before we're into Europe. Swiss trade balance coming in at an actual of 5.65 billion Swiss francs with a forecast of 5.35 billion Swiss francs. Good beat for them and about a 10% improvement on the previous. 10:30, about 25 minutes ago, there was a speech from Germany, Bundesbank Executive Board member Boltz. At the same time, the Swiss unemployment rate came through, 7.6% actual against a 7.9% forecast and an 8.2% previous. Still pretty high at 7.6, but getting better. And then not much else coming from Europe. About 45 minutes time, we got the 10-year bond auction in Spain. 12 o'clock, a speech from board member Panietta on the ECB Executive Board. And 2 o'clock, Fernandez Bolo's speech from the ECB Supervisory Board. Those aren't going to have an impact. 3 o'clock, South African Reserve Bank interest rate decision. We're not on the rand, but if you are, that's one to watch out for. Currently at 3.5%. We did say they had pretty reasonable CPI inflation numbers, 0.2% month on month, so they might not feel the pressure to change interest rates. I don't know what they're thinking, but we will check out the number. Then 3:30 PM, Canadian dollar foreign securities purchases, forecast at positive $26 billion. And we also get some US numbers, the Philadelphia Fed, their manufacturing index and employment index, only for the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware region, but still relevant to those areas. So we'll want to see what's happening. And we've also got initial jobless claims as well. They come in weekly on a Thursday, forecast at 268,000 on a previous of 267,000. And then not going to be much after that. 4:30, a couple more speeches. Neither of those is going to move the charts, I would say. And then a big old gap until 11 PM right at the end of the day. South Korean Producers Price Index month on month, forecast to be deflationary at negative 0.1. Hope they get that. And that's it. So not expecting to get smacked out of any trades by anything from the macro side of things on the economic calendar, which means we can focus on our technical strategy. But having said that, if we get back onto the charts, this looks like it would have been your stop loss. Again, if you're in that buy trade, I would imagine that this would have knocked you out. Look at that, 9 pips. It's 3.4 on the ATR, so you might be looking at 10.2 if you're generous. You've got to take off the spread. Yeah, it's close. Maybe you're still in. But what it does mean, with such a big candle like that, you can see immediately we've seen the MACD line cross over here. Thought we'd have to wait, but we are now on the watch. Price could revert just as quick as it came down, and suddenly we're in a buy trade. Let's watch and see. Just had a big sell-off on the last candle. If your stop loss wasn't knocked out here, it certainly was by now. That does mean that this would have been a losing trade, and you would have lost more on this one than you gained on the first trade this morning. And we had thought that this candle right here was going to spell upward momentum for the day. Now it looks just the opposite. And once we get into the mid-afternoon, maybe it'll be sell trades for us. Got to prepare ourselves for the fact that we could get a buy trade here at 12:30. You can see the MACD line, because of this strong green candle coming through, has pushed ever so slightly above. ATR currently at 2.9 pips, 3 times that value, 8.7. At the last second though, it pulls up, price comes back, and we don't get a close. We see it poking through again, but if the candles come red, we'll miss the signal entirely. Really thought it was coming there, but that snap back in price in the last few seconds keeps us out, but we don't mind. Hopefully we get a better entry position when we do get in. As it comes up to 10-1, it does look as though we finally are going to get that buy signal. The MACD line has been hugging that zero line. Last period was negative 0.000003. We're going with 2.4 pips on the ATR for 7.2 pips the stop loss. You can see how it's calculated on the screen. And let's get into our 2 buy sub trades. Quite the impressive spread as always. Let's stick the ask price line on so you can see that in full. Yeah, woof. That's why we have 3 times ATR to the stop loss and 2 to the take profit. Let's set those levels. And that of those levels set, you can see the stop loss. Yeah, we are hurtling towards it. It's right down at the bottom of the support level. Don't want to see this reverse. We really had to wait for this signal. And as soon as we're in, here comes the drop. Take profit level already looking like a long way away. And immediately after the first candle, the MACD line has reclosed across zero. It's making the return now price, but look at how close that got to our stop loss immediately. Price drops and we are left fighting an even bigger uphill battle. Price making big moves now. What a return for us it's been. We can see the spikes here. It's been particularly volatile, and we do feel very lucky still to have missed out on the stop loss down here. As we see this candle jumping up, could see it jump one more time and possibly take profit. The ask price line is above there. Just need a few more pipettes for the bid price line to get there too. Price now backing off from there though. We said we felt fairly fortuitous to see this stop loss down here, avoid getting triggered. But now look at how close it came on the take profit side of things. Equally as close, and if it does go all the way back from there, we're going to feel equally as unlucky with this as we felt lucky the first time around with the stop loss. And we do take profit. What a roller coaster of a trade, and the trading stop loss, that gets into profit as well. Really nice stuff. We can see $20.97 was the close, and if we can get more of a push, if this euro can get higher and higher, if the trading stop loss can get maybe to about here, which is quite an ask I will say, but if it can, then we should be very nearly, if not back into profitability. Trading stop loss making moves, it's almost at that level. Price comes for our stop loss though, and it does trigger it. The trading stop loss gone 20 to 2. We are out. It was a nice trade though. We needed $19.91 to get back into total profitability for the strategy, and we didn't quite get there. $16.70, but still a very nice trade. We actually see price cracking on now, but still, regardless of where it goes next, a positive trade for us. $37.67, we will take that, and that means with certainty that if we can get into one more trade and make it a winning trade, we will absolutely be back into profitability then. We need some more sharp movements to get back in there though. Price has been volatile, and you can see the volume spike that came on the last candle, and since we got in here, the ATR has gone nothing but up. Currently around about 4 pips. As I say, it might take a while because the return is needed. We need it to come under on the MACD level, beneath 0 over here, and then recross for a buy trade. 2:15 and the MACD line has just closed beneath 0, negative 0.000050. Pretty swift come down. Now all we need is a green candle or two to come from where we are, and we will get a buy trade. Could be back in, getting those winning trades. Hopefully this is a retracement on a bigger move upwards. The drop has just intensified. Look at how price has fallen off there. Big red coming into the market 2 minutes before the open of the New York Forex session. That puts us further away from a trade, but these kind of candles, they can retrace just as quick as they come. If you weren't filtering, by the way, and you'd got into a sell trade at this MACD line crossover, that would be looking very nice for you now. But we have got to be reasonable and have some sort of filter, even if it is just a different part of the same indicator on a different time frame. A really quick snapback in price over the last few periods, so should see the MACD line cross over 0 now. It does. Assuming we get the close there, we'll be at the end of this period. Hopefully it doesn't drag too far up. I don't want to get in right at the peak of momentum. I think even a red candle would still see this cross, so wouldn't mind seeing a bit of a pullback to be able to enter on. 15 seconds until our entry here. We are going to get the close. A little bit of a pullback as we see it now. We're going for an ATR of 3.1 pips. That's 9.3 to the stop loss. And we are poised, ready to take our trades. Just like that, we're in. I'm glad we did get a little bit of a pullback. Didn't want to see it push on, but it looks like that could be more of a pullback. We'll set out trailing stop loss and take profit in. Neither of them outside support or resistance levels, but I could see us getting caught out here. This was a strong run up, and we are about to get knocked out by our stop loss. Price is ever so close. A couple more pipettes on a push down, and we are gone. Price has amazingly retraced back from there. Does seem to be pulling back a bit. Could go either way still. Do feel pretty twitchy being this close to the stop loss, but that was incredibly close again. What are we seeing today? Amazingly missing our stop loss. Thought it was a goner. 4 o'clock and finally we're getting away from the pits. Hard to believe we didn't get the stop losses triggered there, but now almost back to our entry price. This is what we want, and more green candles. Don't let this be a resistance level now. Push through it, get to that take profit. And a few of those economic calendar numbers that have been coming through. South African Reserve Bank, they did raise those interest rates. 3.75% now, up on the 3.5 previous. And then the 330 numbers, Canada's foreign security purchases came in at 20 billion actual against 22 billion previous. Bit down for them. And then in the United States, Philadelphia Fed numbers, manufacturing index 39 against a forecast of 27.8 and up on the previous of 23.8. Pretty good on that one. On the employment index though, 27.2, which is down on the forecast of 29.4 and down on the previous of 30.7, so a bit of a miss there. Initial jobless claims coming in exactly as forecast, 268,000, which is down a very small amount from the previous of 269,000. So pretty middle of the road numbers there across the board. Nothing that anyone's going to lose himself over. So that is our economic numbers for the day. Let's stick it out with the trade. See if we can push some more green. Price coming for our stop loss again. Can we bat it away? It's only a few pipettes off again. Another retracement would be really appreciated here. Last 5 candles, it's been coming red, been creeping down. Now it looks ready to push. This time it gets us though. That is unfortunate. We were in right at the top. This momentum run, that got us in, and we never really got going from there. The entire trade was just spent ranging in between our entry price and the stop loss. And usually when you end up in that situation, it will get you. I mean, we can see again from the hourly chart the kind of day we've had. It's been very rangy. We were lucky to be able to take advantage of this uptrend here because price did come back down and then it came to a red candle, a green candle, and these each hourly charts, they're just reversing the gains and the losses. That's reflected in the MACD as well. And even on a more local level, when we look at the MACD line recently on the 5-minute chart, it's been crossing back and forth. It's 4 crossovers we've had in the last hour. So we are going to call our session there for the day. I really don't think we're going to get a sustained trend out of it. You might see this one go downwards now and make a bit of a something, but the idea of it reversing and getting a good buy run on the go just doesn't seem like the day for it. So after our 1 winning trade and 1 losing trade, we lost more than we won, and so we finished $18.83 down for the day. That keeps us about $60 from profitability, and we've only got 1 more session that we're going to trade this. So when we come back tomorrow, I would say we need 2 more winning trades than the amount of losing trades that we have. Seems like a difficult task, but we'll see how we get on then. Just gone 20 to 11. It is the last day of trading the MACD double axe strategy. Can we get back into profit? We need $59.71 to do it. How are these charts looking? Since we left yesterday, it did go on a bit of an up run, but now coming back down, and we've got the MACD below 0. That means sell signals for us, of course. So we can jump over to the 5-minute chart on the right. Price currently going down. Don't think you would have done well in this move though, to be honest. This is your entry candle right here, so you're going to be getting into a sell trade there. ATR at that point is, we'll be generous and call it 1.5. So you need to avoid 45 points even without a spread. Yeah, 46 there just before the top. So you're gone. That would be a losing trade. You would not be enjoying these current gains. Glad we missed out on that one. And likewise, if you weren't filtering and you took a buy trade here, that would be at the top of this candle. You're going to have to take profits very quick. Let's check the calendar. Okay, all day in India. Guru Nanak Jayanti. Now, what kind of a guru are you anyway? The first of Sikhism. Enjoy that one if you are a Sikh or celebrating with the Sikhs. Yearly numbers from Japan in the Asia session. CPI year on year, 0.1% actual against 0.5% forecast. And if you exclude food and energy below, drops to negative 0.7. Japan managing to avoid serious inflation at the moment. Growth for knowledge, consumer confidence, negative 14. Better than the previous negative 17, so on the up and up, I suppose. Unemployment rate from France at 8.30. Not good for them on Q3. 8.1% actual against 7.6% forecast. So they've missed the forecast by quite a bit, and it's actually up on the previous of 8% as well. PPI month on month from Germany, 9 a.m. Look at the number we're seeing there. This is the Producers Price Index, 3.8% actual. They'd already forecast it to be big at 1.6%, and that was on top of a previous of 2.3. It has seemed like Germany have been holding back on the CPI, but after seeing these PPI numbers, that could easily feed through to them. Not a promising number. But here we do have a positive number that comes in at 3.8%. It's the Norwegian GDP quarterly figure. Beat the forecast and the previous, which were both at 1%. Pretty nice. And we've had retail sales from Great Britain as well. Month on month, up 0.8% actual against a 0.3% forecast. That's what they'd want to see with Christmas looming. Start seeing that increase month on month. And core retail sales month on month up as well. This one by quite a lot, 1.6% actual versus a negative 0.1% forecast. Encouraging numbers from the Great British Pound, retail sales on the up, and consumer confidence too. That's all we've had this morning. Christine Lagarde started making a speech at 10:30. Could still be going with that, but that's over at the ECB. And there as well, we've also got Supervisory Board member Jochnik making a speech. Nothing then until 3 o'clock when Bundesbank President Weidmann hopefully explains his thoughts on that PPI number. 3:30, no major US numbers this time. We have got Canada's retail sales and core retails month on month though, as well as their new housing price index. I think anyone can buy a house in Toronto on the cheap, right? And that's it, unless you're interested in Fed Governor Waller's speech at 5:45 from the Fed, as well as Vice Chairman Clarida speaking at 7:15. Could be some good stock tips in there. And then to round off the day, the Baker Hughes US oil rig count and the total rig count. So very few events throughout the day. That does mean, though, that we can look purely at our technical strategy. Haven't got to be concerned about some major inflation numbers coming on the frank, unemployment skyrocketing above 20%. We can just check out our MACDs. And our 5-minute quicker MACD line, that's currently going with price, getting pushed further away from the zero line. And as it sell trades only for us, we are waiting for the cross and the recross. See what happens. Almost at 11:30, and we are seeing a big drop off in price. Look at this rundown now. Something's causing this. That is a really big move. You are tremendously sad that you got knocked out of your trade up here. That high in price would have wiped you out from your sell trade there, but look at it go. The MACD line is basically vertically down. That is a steep, steep, steep drop off. 10 minutes on, still dropping pretty quickly here. Had a consolidation candle, but now moving down again. It's 35 pips from these candles here. Really strong move if you're in on it. 12, and this might be the sell-off slowing now. We've just seen a bigger recandle for a retracement. Those are the 3 big red ones there. We can see the impact over on the hourly chart. And it is still a red candle though, which means we could see the drop continue after a period of consolidation. Seems like it could stay steady though. A lot of this down to Christine Lagarde's comments, president of the ECB, saying that, and I quote, conditions to raise rates are very unlikely to be satisfied next year. So it's a very heavy signal from her that there will be no interest rate rises in 2022 from the ECB. Brave move, and it would make sense we would see the euro weaken from it. Would have loved to have been a part of this move. We'll wait for our signal. It did turn into a bounce with price here. So we now see the MACD line does close above zero. I don't think the MACD histogram on the hourly chart is going to move anywhere near that zero line anytime soon. So that means without worry, we can now look for sell trades. As soon as that MACD line recrosses zero, we'll be in looking for a win. And it does seem like we will be getting that entry signal in 30 seconds time at 1:30. ATR currently at 6.2 pips, so it'll be 18.6 to the stop loss. Bit wider, we've still got these candles involved in that, but it has come off the peaks up here where it was near 10 pips. This trade should have plenty of room to move, as we do get exactly 0.14 standard lots as our entry, and we get the confirmation. Price coming our way a little bit already. Got our take profit here, stop loss back up there. It's quite a nice trade entry because it's not asking us to break into new lows in price, get beneath the support level. It's come off a big retracement and then just ranged. We've hopefully got in right at the end of this range here. This drop is looking promising. Could definitely see us taking money here. We are almost 40 minutes into this trade and we are so close to our take profit triggering. Just a couple more pipettes and we will get there. It's right on the edge of it. Let's zoom in, see how close that is. And we got it. There we go. Money made for this trade. Banked $20.12 from subtrade A. Subtrade B, trading stop loss. That's moved to the good now. Guaranteed at least $2 or $3 from that. Let's see if it can keep on running. Price has got room to move because of that higher ATR that there was when we got into the trade. So far so good. As we head into 3 o'clock, we are able to find new lows in price. And we see the trading stop loss bump up there. It's exactly what we want. It's been slow going, but now the drop comes. Let's see if in 3 minutes time the New York Forex session traders can bring even more of a sell-off to the euro to really get a move going. Price gets our trading stop loss though. It is procced and we didn't get as much out of it as we would have liked. $12.82. That does mean we are going to need another winning trade if we want to get into profit. The next few periods, more green comes, pushes that MACD line above zero. That's not the entry signal for us, but then hopefully that is just a sharp pullback on what price is actually going to do, which is continue a downward trend, and hopefully we can get in one last time and get some more profits. Here comes the turn. We might see the MACD line cross over at the end of this period. Not quite there. We need a steep drop in price again, not beyond the realms of possibility, but we like our moves to be a bit more subtle. I wouldn't want to see a big drop off just to get us in. Let's see it range for a bit and then take a smaller drop. How about that to get us in? We have the 330 numbers from Canada as well. Retail sales month on month, negative 0.6% actual against a forecast of negative 1.3. Well, at least they beat the forecast, but it is still down. The previous was 1.8%. As we said, with Christmas coming up, a lot of these companies will want to see retail sales increase. And that goes for core retail sales as well. Canada's month on month down 0.2%, negative 0.2. against forecast of negative 0.3. It's also down there on the core retail sales. I tell you what did beat the forecast and was up though, the new housing price index. Month on month, 0.9% increase. That beats the forecast of 0.6. Here we see on the charts, if it closes as it is, we will actually get the entry here. That MACD ever so slightly below zero at the moment. Could go either way. 10 seconds to go and it has pulled up from giving the entry signal. As it is, not going to be able to get in just yet. That is fine though. Wouldn't have wanted to enter here at the lows. So let's see what the next candle brings. Again, MACD line below. Wouldn't mind seeing price stay where it is and get an entry in that position. And here comes the entry signal just a few seconds away. Haven't got the pullback we wanted, it looks like, but that is fine. We are ready to get in when the clock turns over and we get the confirmation. There it is. We sell off the market and it all comes down to this, our strategy defining trade. 4.3 pips on the ATR, that's 12.9 to the stop loss, 86 to the take profit, sub trade 8. Sub-trade B, stop loss the same at 129, but let's get that trading stop on, custom 86 points. Doesn't look too bad. A take profit level is not below the lower price for the day. We can get right down there again. The stop loss, that is above the resistance level. Again, room to move, so it all rides on this, whether or not we can get into profit. We need it to go a little bit further than that take profit, because we need about $6 or $7 from the trading stop loss. Getting to just there and then immediately retracing wouldn't be enough. So if we can get to the low of the day again, that would be profit for us. Nothing has ever mattered more than this trade. Almost to the, there we go, it's gone, the stop loss. That did not take long. That was 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the trade, less than that. Let's pull that up on the history, just like that. $27.87 loss on each of them, and it is pushing up further there. Got in at the very worst time, in at 10 past 4, out at 14 minutes past. That's a rough one, and immediately we see the MACD line crosses. Was really hopeful for that trade, thought we could get into profit, but we have missed out there big time. It does feel like the wins that we got, we have to grind for them, we do have to wait it out, and some of the losses, they just happen in a blink of an eye, in the flash of a lightning strike. Well, that's the way it can go in trading. As it just passes 5 o'clock, we are going to end the session there, and that ends the strategy as well. A very anticlimactic finish to it. Thought this was going to be a good setup right here, but alas, we got in on a terrible candle. Not what would have been one of the worst though. Would have hit to be stuck in a buy trade around about here, but as it is, we didn't get there. Let's check it all out over in the journal. Okay, our final journal. 8 trades across 4 days with 4 winners and 4 losers. The problem though is those winners weren't enough to get us into profitability. This figure at the bottom line, that will remain red. $82.50 as we said is the loss. We started with $5,677.39 and we finished at $5,594.89. We needed more from the trading stop loss. We didn't get it. If you look at our winning trades, sub-trade A, which was the ratio-based trade, they took more money on the whole than sub-trade B with the trailing stop losses. Only one trading stop loss made more than the ratio trades. That was this one here, $34.53. You've got to get onto those big moves. We did miss a potentially long-standing one at the start of the very first session that happened 10 minutes before we came on. But we did also see potential trades that we back-tested that wouldn't have gone so good. So it's not like we missed out on just good trades. And sad that we didn't get the signal on that huge drop on the euro today. Even if we had taken the previous signal, the one that would have got us in, that actually got knocked out by the high of price a few candles after, before the big drop. So you didn't get a recross, you wouldn't have got in on that. But those are the type of moves that you have to be in on if you want to get this into profit. So there we go, those are our trades. Before we finish the strategy entirely, let's just give our final thoughts. In the end, as we didn't get into profit across 4 days of trading the MACD double axe strategy, I couldn't possibly recommend it for trading. That's not to say it couldn't work well under certain conditions. If you are able to get those big trending moves that we saw, winning trades are a thing. We weren't starved for gains, it's just that our successful trades weren't doing as well as our losing trades. Only one of our 4 winners made more gains than we lost on all of the individual losing trades. It's a path to disaster over a longer period of time, but we'll quit whilst we're only a small amount behind. From the money management perspective of things though, it could have gone worse. Our losses would have been amplified if we were using a tighter stop loss, or if we'd widened the take profit to match the stop loss at 3 times ATR. In that situation, we wouldn't have got profits on the first trade on our opening day. That was right at the peak of price and would have been a full loss for us. It also benefited us to not exit trades just because the 5-period MACD line recrossed its 0 level. The damage to our account would have mounted up from that, as we would have been hopping in and out of trades trades when price was stuck ranging away. And speaking of being in a range, even though it only really affected us for 1 out of the 4 days that we traded, we did still have to put up with the hourly MACD chart flipping and reflipping for a session. On that day, we did lose 2 trades, more than any other day. It can be somewhat off-putting, as in my opinion, you'd prefer to trade in a single direction for the session. So with that in mind, it could make sense to change from an hourly time frame as a filter to the daily time frame. That way you check the chart once at the start of the session and you know exactly where you're at for the entire day. On the whole though, do I think that other indicators could help you out with the strategy and improve on it? I'm sure they could, but then you'd have to rename the strategy from the MACD double act to something else. Doesn't seem feasible, so final answer, no. That's it from us, but if you are chilling in a stairway cupboard, waiting to become the next Harry Potter, then why not check out the video description while you wait and get more information on the indicators and the strategy. Lastly, of course, we'd never tested this strategy before, so this was all done with demo money. Why put real money into something you don't know or trust? And this strategy is one of many that demonstrates why. Thank you for watching. This is Project Trade. I am Mansa Musa's Puppet Master, and we are the Traders of the Lost Chart from the Department of Charts and Recreation. We will trade again.